Today's my birthday. I just woken up when the door was kicked open. My wife grabbed me by the hair. You thought you could run off with our daughter? Get on your knees. My daughter immediately turned traitor. Mommy, I don't want to go with Daddy. I love you the most. Here's how it started. My wife is the CEO of a major corporation. I'm her stay-at-home husband, a trophy husband who got famous filming TikToks about a day in the life with a girl boss. Until a man showed up at my door and told me I was just a stand-in for her one true love. After 6 years of marriage, a new replacement showed up with a delivery of green fruit. Limes, green grapes, honeydew melon. He said, Ava sent these. So green and fresh. Just like the horns about to sprout from your head. He told me I was just a substitute and that he was the real prize. The man Ava had paid to have surgically sculpted into a 9/10 perfect copy of her ghost. She'd even bought him his own company and was spending all night with him. I believed him. I asked my daughter who she wanted to be with. She chose me. That same day, I took her and ran. 10 in the morning, the doorbell rang. I opened it to a face that was both familiar and strange. Leo. Of all the scholarship kids my wife, Ava, sponsored through her foundation, he was the star pupil. A real hotshot from USC's Annenberg School, or so I'd heard. He was holding several large fruit baskets. A brilliant smile stretched across his face. Caleb, my man, just came to see how you were doing. I let him in. The villa was empty, echoing with silence. Just me. Our daughter, Mia, was still at preschool, hours away from being picked up. Leo set the fruit down on the coffee table, arranging each item with deliberate care. Limes, green grapes, green apples, kiwis, honeydew. I stared at the sea of green, a vein throbbing in my temple. What's all this? A gift from Ava. Leo's eyes, full of a playful malice, roamed over me. She said you needed some nice-looking fruit. For the vitamins. He paused, his gaze flicking meaningfully toward the top of my head. Look at all that green. So healthy, right? So vibrant. Matches the horns I hear are about to sprout from your head. The TV remote in my hand creaked under the pressure of my grip. A hot rage shot up from the soles of my feet to the crown of my head. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Leo turned, looking at me as if I'd just told the world's most pathetic joke. It means exactly what you think it means. He leaned back into the sofa, draping an arm over the cushions like he owned the place. A man's got to know his place, Caleb. Don't get greedy for things that were never yours. Did you really think you were some kind of Cinderella story? You're nothing but a replacement. My mind went blank, a dull roar filling my ears as if I'd been struck by a sledgehammer. A replacement? That's right. Leo stood up and walked over to me. He pointed to his own eyes, then at mine. Go look in a mirror. You ever wonder why we look a little similar? I shook my head. We look nothing alike. He let out a derisive laugh. Wow, you really don't get it, do you? Haven't you noticed? Your eyes are a 9/10 match for mine. That's because we both look like someone else. Ava's old flame, the one that got away, the one who died. His eyes, they look just like ours. Get it now? That's your only value. I was frozen solid, staring at him in disbelief. Pleased with my reaction, Leo dropped another bombshell. You see me before, right? Notice I look a little different now. He patted his cheeks smugly. That's right. It was Ava. She paid for a few adjustments to make me look more like him. Now it's not just the eyes. My whole face is a 9/10 match. So it's time for you to get out of the way. Stop warming a seat you don't deserve. I was shaking with fury, wanting to scream, but unable to form a single word. In my agitation, I bit down on the canker sore inside my cheek. The sharp pain shocked me back to some semblance of clarity. This was absurd. Ava would never. Why the hell should I believe you? I finally managed to roar. Leo just smiled and slowly pulled out his phone. You don't. Ava didn't come home last night, did she? You want to know why? He swiped through his phone as he spoke. Because she was with me. All night. She just launched a new media company for me. We were there yesterday, christening the place. He shoved the screen in my face. It was a selfie. In the photo, Leo was in the foreground, flashing a peace sign, a triumphant grin on his face. On a sofa not far behind him sat a figure I knew better than my own. It was Ava. It was a little blurry, but on the wall behind her, I could clearly see the word media. Go ahead. Ask her if you don't believe me. We're two of a kind, you and I. Except I'm moving up and you're being tossed aside. After all, I'm the more perfect replacement. He put his phone away, clapped me on the shoulder, and headed for the door. Hang in there, buddy. Plenty of fish in the sea, right? Oh, and by the way, the fruit from Ava? That was just a little hint. A suggestion to be a gentleman about this. Walk away on your own 2 feet, or you'll be walking away with a whole lot of green on your head. Ping. A notification lit up my phone. It was from Leo. He'd sent me the same picture I'd just seen, the selfie with Ava. Beneath it was a caption. Hang in there, bro. I'm on to bigger and better things. I stared at the photo. Leo's peace sign and smug grin felt like 2 needles stabbing into my eyes. He was gone, and the villa was silent again. I collapsed onto the sofa, my mind a chaotic mess. A stand-in. Me? How could I be a stand-in? My thoughts rippled outward like a stone thrown into a still lake, pulling me back years. My family wasn't rich, but we were comfortable. My parents were high school teachers in Ohio, traditional and old-fashioned. Their biggest dream for me was to get good grades, get a stable government job, and live a quiet life. So I got into UCLA and got a girlfriend my freshman year. They cut me off without a second thought. College, they said, was for studying. No money meant no girlfriend. She left. To make rent, and for a sliver of pathetic pride, I started bartending at a place near campus. That's where I met Ava. She was clearly having a bad night, sitting alone at the bar, downing drink after drink. Seeing she was about to overdo it, I offered a gentle word of caution. She took it as an invitation, grabbing my wrist with surprising strength. Hey, handsome, you a student? Her eyes were bright, a mix of drunken haze and mischief. Where do you go? Want to hang with a real woman? I could, sponsor you. As she spoke, her fingers traced light, ticklish patterns on my palm. I was an innocent kid from the Midwest. I'd never been hit on like that. My face flushed a deep crimson. Thankfully, her friend Megan showed up just in time, dragging her out of the bar and into a waiting Uber. The next day, she called me. Her voice on the phone was soft and sweet, a world away from the vixen at the bar. She apologized profusely. She insisted on taking me to dinner to make up for it. I tried to refuse, but she was persistent, so unlike the woman from the night before. I went, my heart pounding with anxiety. Over dinner, we discovered we went to the same school. I was a sophomore. She was a senior about to graduate. She didn't have to worry about the future like the rest of us. Her father's company was waiting for her. She came and went from campus as she pleased. I remember thinking that the gap between some people was wider than the gap between a person and a dog. After that, she started showing up on campus all the time. We'd eat together in the dining hall, walk across the quad. We fell for each other, naturally and easily. On her graduation day, she gave the valedictorian speech, a picture of grace and success. At the party that night, she held my hand and introduced me to all her friends. This is my boyfriend, Caleb. Isn't he handsome? He's so good to me. She showered me with praise until I didn't know where to put my hands. Eventually, I graduated too. She waved her hand, signed off on my internship credits, and had me work with her. I took her to Ohio to meet my rigid parents. She took me to meet her family. Her parents were laid back and welcoming. If their daughter was happy, they were happy. Everything was unbelievably perfect. We got our marriage license, and a year later, Mia was born. Our life was always so sweet. I remember a trip we took to Sedona at the Chapel of the Holy Cross. She insisted we light a candle and make a wish for our future. Afterward, she looked at me, her face completely serious. Caleb, will we be together forever? Will we have our own kids? I laughed and tapped her on the nose. Of course, we'll be together forever. As for kids, if we can't afford them, you'll just have to support all of us. She immediately puffed out her chest, thumping it dramatically. Don't worry, I'm rich. I'll support you. You just have to be pretty. I joked back, so I'll be a kept man? If you're ever mean to me or the kids, I'll just have to take them and run. The sweeter the memory, the harsher the reality. I snapped back to the present, a bucket of ice water crashing over me. All those moments I thought were born of love now seemed like a meticulously crafted lie. All because my eyes looked like some dead guys. I picked up my phone and stared at that infuriating picture. My heart sank, stone by stone, to the bottom of my stomach. Leo was gone, and the villa was terrifyingly quiet. I sat paralyzed on the sofa, zooming in and out of the photo again and again. I stared at the smiling version of myself on the screen and felt a wave of nausea. What a joke. Relationship goals? Sweet daily life? I was nothing but a carefully choreographed clown, a substitute hidden in plain sight. No, I couldn't just take Leo's word for it. I needed proof. Hard proof that would let me finally accept the truth. I didn't dare call Ava directly. I was terrified of hearing the answer I didn't want, but even more terrified she'd just lie to me. My thumb scrolled through my contacts, finally hovering over a name. Megan, Ava's best friend. They'd known each other since they were in diapers. If anyone in the world knew Ava's secrets, it was her. I dialed. It rang a few times before she picked up. Caleb? To what do I owe the honor? Don't you usually just text? Megan's boisterous voice came through the speaker. I forced my own voice into a semblance of normalcy. Hey, just calling to see what you're up to. Busy. Just finished lunch. What's there to be busy with? I'm living the dream. What about you? No new video today? The internet is waiting for its daily dose of you two being disgustingly cute. She was joking, but my heart was hammering against my ribs. I chuckled dryly, then took a deep breath. After a bit of small talk, I finally steered the conversation to the point. Megan, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Ooh, so serious? Did she used to have a thing with a guy from her childhood? One who passed away? As the words left my mouth, my palms were slick with cold sweat. The line went silent for a moment, then erupted with Megan's uninhibited laughter. Why are you asking about him all of a sudden? She was practically howling. Yeah, that was a thing. I can't believe you didn't know about that. My heart plummeted. Megan was still talking, her tone light and nostalgic. Back when Ava was a senior, right before that night we all went to the bar, she just confessed her feelings to him. Boom. Something in my head exploded. She confessed her feelings to him. Right before she met me. Leo's words. Megan's words. They were two hammers, shattering my last shred of hope. Hello, Caleb? You still there? Yeah, I'm here. My voice was a dry rasp. Thanks for telling me, Megan. I appreciate you being a friend. Before she could say anything else, I hung up. As I did, I thought I heard her mutter, weirdo. Yeah, weird. How could I, her husband, be the last person to know something so important? It was laughable. Utterly, tragically laughable. I still couldn't accept it. I wouldn't. With a trembling hand, I dialed the number I knew best. Ava's. She picked up, her voice cool and tinged with exhaustion. Hello. What's up? Hey, Ava. What are you doing? In the office. A meeting. I'm busy. What is it? Oh, well, someone dropped off some fruit today. Limes, green grapes. I probed. Was that from you? What about it? I sent it. What? You don't like it? You should eat it anyway. It's full of vitamin C. Good for that canker sore you have. Her words were like needles pricking my heart. She remembered I had a canker sore. But this gesture of care now felt disgusting. Was she concerned about me? Or about a face that resembled someone else's? I summoned all my courage and asked the fatal question. Ava, were you in love with him? Your childhood friend? The one who died? The other end of the line was silent. Every second stretched into an eternity. Just when I thought she wouldn't answer, she finally spoke. No, I never loved him. He's dead. And I'm glad he's dead. Caleb, the only person I have ever loved is you. Her denial was so firm, that phrase glad he's dead so absolute, that it sent a chill down my spine. It was too fake. This wasn't an explanation. It was a desperate deflection. It was guilt. It was a lie. Her best friend had confirmed it, and she was still lying to my face. I couldn't listen anymore. I didn't hear another word she said. Okay, I get it. I muttered the words and hung up the phone. After hanging up, I stared at Ava's name on the screen, the room spinning around me. I somehow made it through the afternoon without eating a single bite. My head was a chaotic storm of Leo's smug face and his poisonous words. I had to go. It was time to pick up Mia. Driving to the preschool, a single thought consumed me. I could lose everything else, but Mia was mine. For 6 years, I had been the one to raise her. She was the only thing that mattered. When I picked her up, she was a little chatterbox telling me all about her day. I stroked her hair, my heart aching with love. While waiting at a red light, I asked her nonchalantly, Mia, honey, let me ask you a question. If you had to choose between mommy and daddy, who would you go with? Mia, who had been playing with her fingers, looked up at me, her big eyes so much like mine, filled with zero hesitation. "I'd pick you, Daddy. Of course. You're the best daddy in the whole world." My heart felt like it had been punched, a mix of pain and overwhelming love. I fought to keep my voice steady. "But if you come with me, we might not live in this big house anymore. And you might have to go to a different school. And we might not eat such nice food. Would you still want to come?" Mia's little brow furrowed in serious thought. Then she leaned over and planted a big, wet kiss on my cheek. "As long as I'm with you, Daddy, I don't care about any of that. Even yucky food would taste good with you." That was enough. Her words were all I needed. When we got home, I went straight to the kitchen and, for the first time in a long time, cooked a feast. All of Mia's favorites: mac and cheese, chicken nuggets, and homemade French fries. After dinner, I even pulled out the tub of strawberry ice cream she always coveted, the one Ava rarely let her have. "Go on," I said. "Daddy's orders. You can have as much as you want tonight." Watching her eat, her face smeared with cream and pure happiness, the last vestiges of my hesitation vanished. Things were just as Leo had said. For 3 straight days, Ava didn't come home. Not a single call, not a single text. Leo, on the other hand, was as punctual as a time clock, sending me daily field reports. Photos of him and Ava late at night at the new company office. There was nothing overtly intimate, but the message was clear. He was there and I was not. The declaration of his presence was more painful than any words. In the pictures, Ava was sometimes frowning at documents, sometimes talking with other people. But Leo always found the perfect angle to frame them together, a triumphant smile on his face. He even added captions. "Ava is working so hard for our company. Don't worry, Caleb. I'm taking good care of her." I stare at my phone, feeling like the world's biggest fool. On the 4th night, after Mia was asleep, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. I'd had enough. It was time to end this. I opened my message thread with Ava and sent her the first selfie Leo had shown me. The one with him flashing a peace sign, Ava on the sofa behind him. I typed, "You're with him at the new company?" She replied almost instantly. "Yeah, just work stuff. Getting the new office set up. All the pre-launch craziness. Don't overthink it. It's nothing." I let out a cold laugh and typed again. "That's a pretty generous gift. A whole company." This time, the chat window stayed quiet. Several minutes passed before she replied. "How did you know about that?" Those 6 words extinguished the last spark of hope in my heart. She was busted. She wasn't asking how I knew she was with Leo. She was asking how I knew she gave him a company. In her mind, staying out all night with another man for work was nothing. But giving him a company, that was the secret she needed to keep from me. I laughed at my own foolishness and sent my last message. "Doesn't matter. Heard it somewhere. Going to sleep." I turned off my phone, stared at the ceiling, and didn't sleep a wink. If she wanted me to step aside, fine. I would. But I wasn't going to stick around for this pathetic charade. Caleb Reed, was done. I watched the ceiling fan spin all night. When the first ray of sunlight pierced the gap in the curtains and touched my face, I sat up. That was it. Screw the stand-in, screw stepping aside. I'm out. I tiptoed into Mia's room. She was fast asleep, her lips pursed in a little pout. I leaned down and whispered in her ear, "Mia, wake up. Daddy's taking you somewhere amazing." Mia mumbled, her eyes still closed. "Daddy, it's still dark." I lowered my voice, making it sound as tempting as possible. "Do you want to go to a place with no preschool where you can ride horses every day and eat all the ice cream you want?" Preschool. Mia's brain instantly clicked on. She shot up in bed, her eyes wide. "For real, Daddy? No more school?" "For real," I said with a wink. "What's the point of school? Come be an influencer with your old man. We're going to Sedona. A month-long vacation. Just us. How does that sound?" "Yes." A brilliant smile lit up Mia's face. She looked more excited than she did on Christmas morning. Mission accomplished. Like 2 secret agents, we packed our bags with stealthy speed. I stuffed 2 large suitcases with clothes for both of us, her favorite toys, my streaming gear. I left nothing behind. In the living room, I found a notepad, grabbed a pen, and scrawled 4 words in big, bold letters, "Gone. Don't look for me." I tossed the note onto the coffee table, right on top of the pile of green fruit. It felt so damn liberating. Before walking out, I took the SIM card I'd used for 6 years out of my wallet and, without a second's hesitation, snapped it in half. "Goodbye, Ava." Goodbye to this gilded cage that had imprisoned me for 6 years. In the Uber to the airport, Mia was buzzing with excitement, her face pressed against the window. Daddy, do they have big lizards in Sedona? They do. What about coyotes? Them too. Wow, can we bring a coyote home with us? I smiled and stroked her head. I don't think so, sweetie. They have their own homes. Just like me. It was time to find a home that belonged to just me and Mia. I booked first-class tickets to Phoenix. It was the last time I would ever use Ava's money. As the plane took off, the force pushed me back into my seat. I watched the city shrink below, feeling not a shred of nostalgia, only an overwhelming sense of release. It was like a weight being lifted. A couple of hours later, we landed. After picking up a rental car, we drove north. The air that hit us as we stepped out in Sedona was tinged with the scent of red dust and juniper. I took a deep breath. It felt like it was cleaning my lungs. We were staying at a boutique lodge I'd booked online, nestled against the Red Rocks. The owners were a kind, middle-aged couple. Seeing me with Mia, they were incredibly welcoming, helping with our bags and offering us fresh squeezed orange juice. Mia was in heaven. She spent the afternoon chasing the owner's golden retriever around the courtyard, her laughter echoing like wind chimes. Watching her run free, all the darkness and doubt that had been clouding my mind finally dissipated. The sky here was a piercing blue, the clouds a brilliant white. Mia and I stood in the courtyard, looking out at the majestic red rock formations. Everything that had happened before felt like a ridiculous, distant nightmare. Daddy, Mia said, pulling on my hand and looking up at me. It's so pretty here. I love it. I knelt and pulled her into a hug. I'm glad you do. From now on, this is our new home. My new life in Sedona felt like a dream I never wanted to wake from. Mia and I went wild. We spent our days horseback riding through the canyons. She sat in front of me, giggling as the horse trotted along, her bright laughter bouncing off the rock walls. We fed carrots to the donkeys at a local sanctuary. Mia held out a carrot in her tiny hand, her face a mask of nervous excitement. All the bitterness and resentment I'd accumulated in that gilded cage were washed away by the desert sun and clean air. I thought this life could go on forever, but I had no idea that while Mia and I were basking in our newfound freedom, a storm was brewing 1,000 miles away in Los Angeles. And at the center of that storm was the wife I had left behind. It started 2 days later. Mia's preschool teacher, Ms. Davis, noticed she had missed 2 consecutive days. For Mia, who was never late and never absent, this was highly unusual. First, she called my number. A cold, automated voice greeted her. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. Ms. Davis paused, thinking she'd misdialed. She checked the number and tried again. Same result. Left with no choice, she dialed the emergency contact. When the call came through, Ava was in the middle of a high-stakes board meeting. She glanced at her phone, saw Mia's preschool on the screen, and frowned. She silenced the call and ignored it. A moment later, it rang again. A flicker of irritation crossed Ava's face. "Excuse me," she said to the room, stepping out with her phone. "Hello, Ms. Davis. Is everything all right?" Her tone was clipped, annoyed at the interruption. "Ms. Reed, I'm so sorry to bother you. It's just that Mia hasn't been to school yesterday or today. I tried calling Caleb's number, but it says it's out of service. I just wanted to make sure she wasn't sick." Ava's frown deepened. Out of service. She hung up and immediately dialed my number from her own contacts. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." The same automated message. That flicker of irritation instantly morphed into a dark premonition. She quickly opened her messaging app to text me. A red exclamation point appeared next to her message. "This person is not receiving messages at this time." The color drained from Ava's face. She forgot all about the meeting, grabbed her car keys, and bolted from the office. Her heels clicked frantically on the polished marble floor. She sped home, the knot of dread in her stomach tightening with every mile. The front door was unlocked. She pushed it open, her voice echoing in the dead silence. "Caleb?" "Mia." Only her own voice answered. She flew up the stairs, first to Mia's room. It was neat and tidy, but Mia's favorite dolls and dresses were gone. Her heart sank. She stumbled into our master bedroom. The walk-in closet, My side was empty. Not just a few outfits, but nearly all my clothes are gone. The 2 large suitcases we kept in the storage room were also missing. He was gone. The words hit Ava with the force of a physical blow. She staggered back, leaning against the doorframe, her mind a complete blank. She drifted back downstairs, her eyes scanning the living room in a daze. Finally, her gaze landed on the note I'd left on the coffee table. The note was sitting on top of the pile of green fruit she'd sent over. She walked over, her hand trembling as she picked it up. On it were the 4 words I'd scrawled in my dramatic flourish. Gone. Don't look for me. In that instant, all the worry, confusion, and fear detonated in Ava's chest, transforming into a tidal wave of pure rage. Her knuckles turned white as she crumpled the note in her fist. Caleb! A roar tore from her throat, laced with a tremor she didn't recognize herself. You think this is some kind of reality show stunt? You think you can run off with my daughter? She was shaking, her beautiful face contorted with fury. You better hide well, she seethed, each word squeezed from between clenched teeth. Because when I find you, and I will find you, I'm going to lock you in a room and make you kneel on a keyboard until you beg for forgiveness. My life in Sedona was a paradise. But deep down, I'm a content creator. I couldn't let a 10 million follower account just die. More importantly, I wanted to document this new life for me and Mia. So, I set up my camera and streaming gear. The lens captured a sky of impossible blue, a vast expanse of desert landscape. I filmed Mia and me riding a horse, her small body bouncing in front of me as we trotted along. She was so happy she was waving her arms in the air, her bright laughter carrying on the wind. I filmed us by the fire pit in the lodge's courtyard, getting ready for a cookout. I fumbled with the kindling, getting smoke in my eyes until they watered. Mia was laughing so hard she couldn't stand up straight. This was nothing like my old videos. Before, I was the CEO's personal chef, a man whose universe revolved around a kitchen and Ava. Now, the man in the video was Mia's father. A free man, a real person. I edited the clips together, setting them to a breezy folk song. The video opened with Mia's innocent, smiling face. It ended with the 2 of us, sitting side by side on a bluff, watching the sun set over the red rocks. By the time I finished editing, night had fallen. The grill was lit, and the sound of sizzling skewers filled the air. The smell of barbecue was intoxicating. I cracked open a beer and poured Mia a glass of milk. Mia, I said, taking a long sip of the cold beer, feeling a sense of deep contentment. Tomorrow's Daddy's birthday. You gonna give me a present? Mia was devouring a chicken skewer, her face a mess. She tilted her head, thought for a moment, and then said with a troubled expression, "But I don't have any money." I teased her. No money, no present. That's gonna make Daddy very sad. Her eyes darted around. Then she leaned in and planted a huge kiss on my cheek. This is your present. The greasy sensation of barbecue sauce spread across my face. I pretended to be disgusted, wiping my cheek with the back of my hand. It's all greasy. I don't like this present. Inside, I was beaming. This was better than any expensive gift Ava had ever given me. Seeing my disgust, Mia pouted. Well, that's all you're getting. I burst out laughing, pulling her into a hug and kissing her forehead. After our cookout, I lay back in a lounge chair and pulled out my phone. I watched the video I'd just made, nodding in satisfaction. I gave it a title, Leaving the Past Behind, New Adventures with My Little Sidekick. Without a second thought, I hit upload. As a major influencer, the stats on my video started climbing instantly. But I didn't pay much attention. I tossed my phone aside and started catching fireflies with Mia. I had no idea that while Mia and I were cheering over a few blinking insects, my video was causing an earthquake online. The comments section exploded. Whoa, did Caleb get a divorce? The title, the implications, leaving the past behind. Does that mean leaving the girl boss wife? Finally, Caleb's got a backbone. This is the content we want to see. Am I the only one who wants to know where this is? It's beautiful. Drop the location. Of course, lurking among those comments was one very specific viewer. 1,000 miles away in Los Angeles, Ava saw the video. She was, after all, one of my followers. The second a notification popped up, she clicked on it. When she saw Mia's ecstatic face and my expression of pure relief, her grip on her phone tightened. She paused the video, zoomed in, replayed it. Like a detective, she analyzed every single detail. Finally, her eyes locked on to a single frame. It was a shot of Mia and me at the entrance to the lodge. In the background were several rows of distinctive Southwestern-style wooden fencing and a uniquely shaped stone sculpture near the driveway. She immediately opened her laptop and typed a few keywords into the search bar. Sedona, boutique lodge, rustic fence, stone sculpture. Image after image popped up. She scrolled patiently for a few moments, and then her pupils contracted. A promotional photo for a lodge featured the exact same wooden fence and stone sculpture from my video. She clicked the image. Below it was the name and address of the lodge. Found you. A slow, dangerous smile spread across Ava's face. Mia and I played until we were exhausted. I slept like a rock. The early morning sun of Sedona filtered through the curtains, warming my face. I rolled over, feeling a small, warm body wiggling next to me. It was Mia. Her little arm was draped across my chest, her face flushed with sleep, her lips smacking softly as she dreamed of some delicious treat. I smiled. My heart felt full. It was my birthday. No expensive gifts, no fancy parties. Just my daughter by my side, and this moment of peace. It was more than enough. Just as I was about to drift back to sleep, a series of loud, frantic bangs echoed through the room. Bang, bang, bang. The sound was so forceful it felt like someone was trying to break the door down with a battering ram. The whole wooden frame shuddered. Mia, startled, shot up in bed, burying herself in my arms. Her voice was laced with tears. Daddy, someone's knocking. They're so loud. What if it's a bad guy? Wake up. Her little hands clutched my pajamas, her body trembling. The violent noise jolted me fully awake, my sleepiness replaced by a surge of irritation. I patted Mia's back reassuringly, grumbling towards the door. Who the hell is it? Do you have to knock so hard? For God's sake, can't a man get some sleep on his own birthday? The words were barely out of my mouth when a deafening crack split the air. The solid-looking wooden door was kicked clean off its hinges. Splinters flew. A blinding shaft of sunlight flooded the room. A familiar silhouette, backlit and radiating a terrifying aura of rage, stood in the doorway like an avenging angel. Before I could even sit up, before my brain could process what was happening, the figure moved. She crossed the room in 3 long strides. I felt a searing pain in my scalp. A powerful force seized me by the hair, yanking me clean out of the bed. My vision swam with stars as I crashed onto the rug beside the bed, landing hard on my knees. An icy dread spread from the top of my head through my entire body. I finally saw her face. My wife, Ava. Her beautiful features were pale and set like stone. Her eyes, which I had once loved so deeply, were burning with a furious fire that looked ready to consume me whole. She loomed over me, her voice a low, dangerous command that tolerated no dissent. Get on your knees. Looking up at her face, twisted with an anger so profound it was almost serene, my brain short-circuited. My body, however, knew exactly what to do. My knees, already on the floor, straightened into a proper kneeling position. Words tumbled out of my mouth, unbidden. Ava, I'm sorry. You're scaring the baby. Calm down. Let's just be calm. My own voice was trembling. Scaring the baby? Ava let out a cold, sharp laugh that was colder than ice. You ran off with my child, and now you're worried about scaring her? If I hadn't come after you, I wouldn't even have a child anymore. Her voice cracked, rising in pitch with raw fury. The child I carried for 9 months. You son of a bitch, you just kidnapped her. Her voice cracked, rising with a sharp, trembling rage. The child I carried for 9 months. You son of a bitch, you just kidnapped her. I didn't kidnap. I mumbled, my defense weak and pathetic under her furious gaze. Mia said she wanted to come with me. She didn't want to be with you. I hadn't even finished my sentence when the little traitor, who had been cowering behind me just moments ago, made her move. Mia peeked out from under the covers. Her big eyes darted from my pathetic form on the floor to Ava's murderous expression in the doorway. In a single second, her look of terror transformed into one of pure, unadulterated joy. Mommy! She scrambled out of bed and threw herself towards Ava, her little arms outstretched. Mommy, I'll go with you. Don't listen to Daddy. I love you the mostest. Her voice was loud, her words clear, and filled with a sincerity that was absolutely soul-crushing. I was floored. I stared in utter shock at my own daughter. The same one who, just days ago, had sworn she would be happy with me no matter what. Now she was clinging to Ava's leg, her little face tilted up in a perfect portrait of loyalty. My mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. My heart felt like it had been brutally stabbed by this little turncoat. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The icy mask on Ava's face melted slightly, replaced by a look of triumphant satisfaction. She bent down, scooped Mia in her arms, and kissed her cheek. "That's my good girl, Mia." Holding our daughter, she shot me a look of pure contempt. Unlike some other ungrateful people, I could feel my face burning with shame. Ava finally released her death grip on my hair. Her voice was still cold, devoid of any emotion. "Stop kneeling. Get up. We're leaving." Granted a reprieve, I scrambled to my feet like a defeated rooster. Leaving? She was taking me back? Of course she was. After a stunt like this, I'd be lucky to escape a formal trial by fire. I rubbed my numb knees, hastily saying, "Ava, just let me pack our things. I'll be quick. It won't take a minute. I brought so many clothes. I couldn't just leave them here." Ava, still holding Mia, looked at me as if I'd just said the stupidest thing she'd ever heard. "Pack? What is there to pack?" She shot me a look so cold it could freeze fire. "Are you looking for another beating? If we pack, where are we supposed to sleep tonight?" I froze, my hands hovering over a suitcase. What did she mean? I ventured cautiously. "We're not going back." Ava rolled her eyes at me, a classic expression I knew all too well. 7 parts impatience, 3 parts disgust. "No, we're not going back. Did you forget what day it is? It's your birthday. You want to spend on a plane?" My brain buzzed. Birthday? It was my birthday. In the chaos of the last few days, I had completely forgotten. A strange, undefinable emotion washed over me. A mix of shock, relief, and utter confusion. I instinctively straightened up like a soldier awaiting orders. Roger that. Today's mission is to accompany Her Majesty on a royal outing. That day, we went sightseeing around Sedona, drove through Oak Creek Canyon, and ate at a famous spot for tacos and other southwestern food. Mia was attached to Ava's hip the entire time, like a triumphant little general. Every so often, she'd look back and make a face at me, her expression clearly saying, "You lose, Daddy." I followed behind them like a puppet on a string, my mind a tangled mess of emotions. That evening, back at the lodge, Mia was so tired she fell asleep the moment her head hit the pillow. The room was quiet, leaving just Ava and me. The atmosphere was suddenly thick with unspoken words. Ava sat in a chair by the bed. The daytime warrior mode switched off. She sat with her arms crossed, her eyes watching me quietly in the dim lamplight. I felt my skin prickle under her gaze and decided to break the silence. Thanks for today. For my birthday." She didn't respond to that. Instead, she asked, out of the blue, "Caleb, do you feel like you've been terribly wronged?" My stomach dropped. I said stubbornly no. "No." She let out a short, sharp laugh, dripping with sarcasm. "If you didn't feel wronged, why did you run? You listened to Leo, that idiot, tell you that you were being replaced, and you just believed him. He says you were just a stand-in, and you actually pack a bag and run away with my daughter?" Her rapid-fire questions left me speechless, my face flushing hot and cold. Seeing my pathetic state, her expression softened a fraction. She continued, "If my best friend, Megan, hadn't called me to say that you absolute moron, were asking her weird questions about my dead childhood friend, I would have had no idea you were even capable of jealousy." I stuck my chin out. I wasn't jealous. Anyone would have reacted that way. "Oh, really?" She raised an eyebrow. "Yes," I shouted, finally finding an outlet for my pent-up frustration. Ava just looked at me, her expression like she was observing a child throwing a nonsensical tantrum. She sighed, a hint of exasperation in her voice. "Caleb, did you forget that you had a massive canker sore in your mouth a few days ago? It hurt so much you could barely eat." I froze. "That fruit, it's full of vitamin C. It's good for canker sores." She spoke slowly, enunciating each word as if I were a first grader. "I told you to eat it. Because it was good for you. What kind of garbage were you thinking? My mind went completely blank. So that was it. My mouth opened, but no words came out. My face was on fire, as if I'd just been slapped. What else? Ava wasn't letting me off the hook. What else made you feel so wronged? The dead childhood friend? I was choked with embarrassment and could only respond with silence. Seeing my stubbornness, she decided to lay it all out. Fine, I'll tell you the truth. When I was a senior in college, I did tell him how I felt. My heart sank all over again, and he said yes. She continued, her voice turning cold and disgusted. And what happened? That very night, he took his flashy new sports car out for a spin with some girl he'd just met, got into an accident, and they both died on the scene. I looked up, staring at her in utter disbelief. So, when I told you I was glad he was dead, you thought I was lying? A deeply ironic smile twisted Ava's lips. Let me tell you something, Caleb. That was the most honest thing I've ever said in my life. The thought of him makes me sick. It's disgusting. The same day I confess my feelings, he cheats on me and then gets himself killed. It was all over the local news. Can you imagine how humiliating that was? She grew more agitated as she spoke, her chest rising and falling. I was so angry and embarrassed and just miserable. That's why I went to that bar to get drunk. And that's when I met you. I was completely paralyzed. All my anger, all my feelings of betrayal, dissolved in that moment, replaced by a profound sense of absurdity. I wasn't a stand-in for a cherished ghost. I was just the lucky guy, or maybe unlucky guy, she happened to meet right after some jerk had spectacularly self-destructed. The truth about her childhood sweetheart was like a bomb that detonated in my brain, obliterating all my previous feelings of anger and betrayal. But a part of me was still stuck. Then what about the company? I asked quietly. And Leo? And those pictures he sent me? The company? Ava raised an eyebrow, looking at me as if I were the dumbest person on the planet. She paused, seemingly gathering her thoughts, before dropping an even bigger bombshell. That company is yours. Mine. My mind went into overdrive, and for a second, I was sure I was hallucinating from sleep deprivation. What do you mean, mine? It's your birthday present, Ava said, her tone so matter-of-fact, it was as if she were commenting on the weather. You're a 10 million follower influencer, aren't you? I figured you couldn't just be my stay-at-home husband forever. So I got you a media company. Let you be your own boss, build your brand. What's wrong with that? I just gaped at her, speechless. A whole company? For me, because I was a TikToker, the logic was so absurdly extravagant that it sent a wave of warmth through the iciest corners of my heart, melting everything. Seeing my dumbfounded expression, Ava continued. As for Leo, he graduated from USC's media program. It's his field. The company is new. I don't know the first thing about running one, so I hired him as a consultant to help with the setup, give some professional advice. That's why I was at the office so late those nights. We were working, but the pictures, I still couldn't let it go. The pictures? Ava scoffed, her voice full of disdain. He took those himself, sneak shots or deliberately angled to get me in the frame. At first, I just thought he was an ambitious suck-up. Then I realized something was off, so I started ignoring him. I had no idea he had the audacity to take that garbage to you and stir up trouble. She paused, her eyes turning cold. He must have dug up that story about my pathetic ex somewhere and decided to get plastic surgery to look like him. Thought he could use that face to get close to me, to hit the jackpot. The man is desperate. All the pieces clicked into place. Leo's appearance, the green fruit, the damning photos, his whole elaborate story about being my replacement. It was all a one-man show. A sordid, pathetic scheme to climb the social ladder. And I was the biggest fool of all, the puppet he had played so perfectly. I felt my face flush with shame and embarrassment. I wished the ground would open up and swallow me whole. So, how did you find me? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Your TikTok, you idiot, Ava said, rolling her eyes. Did you really think I don't follow you? I watch every single one of your videos. The second I saw that rustic fence and the stone sculpture, I searched online. It took me less than 5 minutes to find this lodge. So that's how it was. My dramatic escape, which I thought was so clever, was nothing more than a childish tantrum where I'd broadcasted my exact location to the one person I was running from. The betrayal and deception I'd imagined were, In reality, a surprise she had been lovingly preparing for me. I looked at her, at the faint red lines in her eyes from her frantic, sleepless journey, and my heart felt like it was overflowing with 1,000 different emotions. I wasn't a replacement. I never was. I was the one she cherished, the one she quietly watched over, the one she would spend a fortune on without a second thought. She looked at me, a sly smile playing on her lips, but her eyes held a dangerous glint. You know, that Leo guy did give me an idea. An idea for what? I asked instinctively. That places like psychiatric hospitals really do come in handy. My brain screeched to a halt. The words psychiatric hospital sent a chill from the soles of my feet to the top of my head. All my previous anger at being deceived was instantly replaced by a wave of cold, hard fear. I swallowed, my throat suddenly dry. He's not going to get out and come after me, is he? A person twisted enough to get plastic surgery and invent such an elaborate lie. Who knew what he was capable of? Ava looked at my terrified expression and let out a cold smirk, the kind you'd give to a country mouse who'd never seen the big city. He's having a very hard time right now. She said it so casually, as if talking about the weather. I had him committed. I just stared at her, my jaw on the floor. Committed? You could just do that. Why not? She crossed her arms, watching me with an air of relaxed confidence. He handed me all the evidence on a silver platter. It would be a shame not to use it. Seeing my continued confusion, she patiently explained. He got plastic surgery to look like my dead, humiliating ex in order to get close to me. Wouldn't you call that an obsession? A fixation? He fantasized that he could replace you, that my company was meant for him. Wouldn't you call that delusional? He used a few secretly taken photos to lie to your face and try to destroy our marriage. Doesn't that sound a bit like a persecution complex? With every point she made, my heart sank a little deeper. Behaviors I had written off as just scummy and manipulative were, in her hands, clinical symptoms for institutionalization. I simply found a team of qualified professionals and described the situation, factually. The doctors, of course, made their own expert diagnosis. Her voice was calm, but held an unshakable authority. Besides, he's an orphan. No family, no friends. Not a single person to vouch for his sanity. A shiver went down my spine. This woman, when she decided to be ruthless, was truly terrifying. Ava saw the look on my face and suddenly grinned, a mischievous sparkle in her eye. She leaned in closer. Caleb, let me ask you something. Do you know how you prove you're not crazy? The question stumped me. Without thinking, I answered, you tell the doctor you're not crazy. Ava burst out laughing, a sound tinged with pity. You sweet, simple man. The more frantically you try to convince a doctor that you're sane, the more convinced he becomes that you're deeply unwell. He'll just write in his notes, patient is highly agitated, exhibits denial of his condition. She paused, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. And then they increase your dosage. Boom. My entire worldview shattered. It was a perfect, inescapable trap. I looked at the woman before me, smiling like a sly fox. For the first time, I realized she wasn't just my wife who could be playful and demanding. She was a queen, a powerhouse who could move heaven and earth to protect what was hers. An unprecedented sense of security washed over me. I opened my mouth, but only one sentence came out. Ava, you're incredible. Just then, the little girl sleeping soundly in the bed rolled over, smacking her lips. Daddy, Mommy, stop talking so loud. You're waking me up. Ava and I looked at each other. A smile broke out on both our faces. The tense, heavy atmosphere of a moment ago was instantly dispelled by our daughter's sleepy mumbling. Ava put a finger to her lips in a gesture, and we both fell silent. The room was quiet again, filled only with the sound of Mia's steady breathing. Moonlight streamed through the window, casting a gentle halo on her soft hair. We quietly got back into bed, flanking her on either side. I turned on my side, looking at the sleeping faces of my wife and daughter, my heart so full it felt like it might burst. After the misunderstanding was cleared up, the sky in Sedona seemed bluer, the air cleaner. The next morning, I was woken by the sound of Mia's laughter. The little rascal was using me as a human horse, and Ava was sitting on the edge of the bed, watching us with a warmth in her eyes I had never seen before. My grand escape plan, now seemed like a childish, ridiculous farce. The rest of our time, there became a real family vacation. We visited the Grand Canyon, and in the biting wind at the edge of the rim, I pulled Ava and Mia into a tight hug. She stiffened for a second, then a blush crept up her cheeks. She pinched my side, muttering, "You're so childish," but the smile in her eyes gave her away. In the quirky, artsy town, we rented ridiculous matching tie-dye shirts. Mia ran ahead of us like a little butterfly, while Ava and I followed hand in hand. She turned into a little foodie, stuffing her face with prickly pear ice cream. When she couldn't eat anymore, she'd shove the cone in my face. I pretend to complain while happily eating every last bite. My camera was working overtime. The footage was no longer of a lonely father and his daughter, but of a family of three, laughing and holding each other close. That night, back at the lodge, I edited the new footage into another video. I chose a sickeningly sweet love song for the background music. The video opened with me shouting, "I love you," from a scenic overlook and ended with our silhouette against the setting sun. After finishing it, I couldn't stop smiling. I gave the video an incredibly cocky title, "Update. I've been captured." Turns out my wife is crazy about me. The moment I hit upload, I could already imagine the chaos in the comments. And I was right. Less than half an hour after posting, my notifications exploded. What? This plot twist is better than any movie. The last video was him running for his life, and this one is him on his knees begging for forgiveness. You guys, I thought Kayla was finally having his main character moment, but he just flew to Arizona to give us premium content. I'm here for it. Is it just me? Or the way Ava looks at him? That's not a stand-in, people, that's true love. My follower count jumped by another million overnight. Reading the endless stream of El Mayo, and "This is so sweet, I have diabetes." My last shred of bitterness over being duped completely vanished. I was vindicated. When the vacation ended, the three of us boarded a flight back to Los Angeles. I had arrived in Arizona broken and alone. I was returning with Mia's hand in my left, Ava's in my right, and a heart overflowing with happiness. When we landed, Ava didn't take us home. The driver took us straight to a sleek, new high-rise in Century City. "Get out," she said, tilting her chin at me, a hint of pride in her eyes. I followed her into the lobby. On the wall behind the reception desk, in gleaming gold letters, was the name of a company. The same media company I had seen in Leo's photos, the one that had sent me into a spiral of despair. "From now on, this is yours." Ava pressed a key card into my hand. Her voice was casual, but her words landed in my heart with the weight of a boulder. She led me down a hall to the largest corner office. On the door was a plaque. It read, "Caleb Reed, CEO." I stared at the two words, feeling like I was dreaming. From a kept man to CEO. The transition was too fast, too surreal. I pushed the door open. The office was spacious and bright, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city. Ava came up behind me, wrapping her arms around my waist and resting her chin on my shoulder. "Mr. CO," she whispered, her breath warm against my ear, her voice laced with that familiar, mischievous tone. "You're going to be surrounded by beautiful, talented, young influencers now. You'd better. Behave yourself." I stared at the golden Caleb Reed, CO, on my office door, still feeling slightly lightheaded. This birthday present from Ava was almost too much to handle. Stepping out of my office, I finally understood what people meant by a feast for the eyes. The entire open-plan workspace was a flurry of activity, populated by a stunning array of young, beautiful women. Leggy models, impossibly chic fashionistas, witty gamers, bubbly lifestyle vloggers. Every type of influencer you could imagine was here, busy in their studios, smiling at ring lights, or chatting excitedly about the latest trends. And me, the guy who got his start by being married to the boss, was suddenly their boss. Luckily, whatever other skills I lacked, I had a decent amount of charm. That, plus my 10 million follower account, gave me some instant credibility. Within a few days, I was on a first-name basis with most of them. "Caleb, can you look at the script for my next video? It feels like it's missing something." "Mr. Reed, my live stream numbers were a little low today. Do you think I should try a different angle?" I dove right in, discussing content, cracking jokes, and sharing my influencer experience. "Soon, Mr. Reed was almost entirely replaced by Caleb. Just as I was starting to enjoy my newfound status, a familiar figure appeared like a phantom in my office doorway. Well, Mr. CEO, living the dream, are we? Megan stood there, arms crossed, leaning against the doorframe with a knowing smirk. My heart skipped a beat. What are you doing here? Me? She sauntered in on her high heels and plopped down on my sofa as if she owned it. Ava sent me. Said she was worried you couldn't handle things on your own. Gave me a position as your executive assistant. She paused, winked, and lowered her voice. Basically, I'm her spy. Get it? Oh, I got it. I got it all too well. And just like that, my reign of glory was over. Megan was a 24/7 high-definition surveillance camera installed in my life. I had a slightly too long conversation with a new hire, and not 5 minutes later, a text from Ava would appear. How's the new talent working out? Does she require so much of the CEO's personal, hands-on guidance? During a company-wide meeting, my eyes lingered for half a second too long on a streamer's very long legs. That evening, a keyboard was waiting for me in the middle of our living room floor. Ava, I'm sorry. My mind just wandered for a second. I pleaded, expertly assuming the position. Ava, holding Mia, looked down at me imperiously. Oh, it wandered? Then tell me, what color was her dress? I couldn't answer. I could only hang my head in shame. Mia clapped her hands with glee. Daddy's kneeling on the keyboard again. Mommy wins. I wanted to cry. One evening, as I was wrapping up my work, my office door swung open. Mia shot in like a little cannonball and hugged my legs. Daddy! I smiled and scooped her up. Ava followed behind her, holding a cake box from her favorite bakery. She was wearing a sleek, form-fitting dress, her long hair cascading over her shoulders. The moment she walked in, the entire office seemed to get brighter. I was about to greet her when Megan materialized, a look of pure, unadulterated mischief on her face. Ava, you're here. You need to get your husband in line, she announced, loud enough for the whole floor to hear. A knot of dread formed in my stomach. I watched in horror as she tattled on me with dramatic flair. Today he was staring, multiple times, at Tiffany, the new dancer we signed, the one with the long legs and the fishnets. I saw him. My scalp prickled. That's a lie. I shot back. I was not. Ava's eyes had already narrowed into dangerous slits. She set the cake down and stalked towards me. Is that so? The next thing I knew, my ear was caught in a grip that was soft but absolutely non-negotiable. Ow! Ow! Honey, that hurts! She's lying. I swear. I yelped, trying to shield myself with Mia. Ava twisted a little harder, but the corner of her mouth was twitching with a smile. It had better be a lie. She let go, giving me an exasperated but loving eye roll. Come on, let's go home for dinner. Spared from execution, I clutched Mia and scurried after Ava like a loyal puppy. Megan, trailing behind us, was trying and failing to suppress her laughter. The three of us, a chaotic, bickering, happy family, walked out of the building together.